Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us during day 2 of Florida Shine's Virtual College Night. My name is Nashla Dawari. I will be facilitating today's sessions, which is how to fill out the FAFSA. We know it's a popular topic, and today we are here with Michelle Trochet. Now, before we begin, I want to go over a few items with you. If you have any questions during the session, please put them in the question box and we will address them as part of the session if time allows, or in a follow-up email individually to you. Now, I do want to remind you that although this is a financial aid workshop and we'll cover very specific steps about financial aid and completing your FAFSA, please do not share any personal information on this webinar as we will not have access to your record. So we appreciate that. Today's session will be recorded and available online, along with all of the materials that Michelle's going to share with us at floridashines.org. The last housekeeping item I have for you today is that we are live on Twitter, so feel free to share your comments and connect with us at FL Shines. Today, as I mentioned, we're excited to have Michelle Trochet with us. She is part of FIU Online, and she began working at FIU in 2008 in the financial aid office. Prior to FIU Online, she worked at FIU's College of Medicine, also in financial aid. So as you can see, she has over 7 years of experience in customer service, financial aid, and enrollment services. We are very honored to have her with us today, and we're excited to learn all about the FAFSA with you, Michelle. So without further ado, Michelle, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. So we're basically going to go over how to fill out the FAFSA. We are going to do a walkthrough, and I hope to have enough time at the end to answer all of your questions. But first, I just wanted to start off by basically explaining what is financial aid. So a lot of times people think of financial aid as just free money, gifted aid. So we want you to understand that it's any form of monetary support that goes towards your studies. So this can come in scholarships, this can come in grants, loans, and work studies. So there's a combination of gifted aid, which would be what everyone calls the free money, money that you would not need to pay back as long as you passed your classes. And grants and scholarships would all go under as that. And then you have the need-based, and then also the non-gifted aid. So for example, the loans you would have to eventually pay those back, and work study would also fall under that since it is a job. And when going into filling out the FAFSA, the first most important thing is the name alone. So it is called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. That is what FAFSA stands for. So a lot of times prior to this year, there was another website that was FAFSA.com. You want to make sure that you are at FAFSA.gov. It is a free website when you fill it out. So you want to try to avoid scams. They all look very similar. You're going to know when you're on the website and that it is under the government. And then also prior to going in, there's a few things that you would want to collect to have ready before you go into filling it out. So before you go to FAFSA, you want to make sure that you gather a few things. You want to make sure that you have your social security number, your alien registration number, if applicable. You also want federal tax returns. If you have not filed them, that is okay. You can still fill them out. And any records of untaxed income, if you or your parents have cash, savings, checking account balances, and any other investments besides where you are currently living. The next step would then be you want to create an FSA ID. And what this is basically your login to all the government websites. It used to be before, there's a lot of different websites. You would need to create a username and a password. This makes it so that you just have one login, and with this one login, you can use all of the websites, as well as you can even sign important documents online electronically with this login. So we're going to go to that website. The website that you want to go to is fsaid.ed.gov, and this is what it's going to come up to. Again, it's Federal Student Aid, Department of Education. All of the Department of Education websites, they're going to have the same, they're going to look like they come from the Department of Education. But it is something that you want to be mindful of. Once there, you want to create your FSA ID. And basically, they're just going to go through, it's just going to be a short video to explain how to actually walk through and
your social security number, date of birth, and full name. The information must match exactly what's on your social security card. Make sure to put your first and last name in the correct spots, and double check that you have the name typos. The best thing I can do student aid PIN. You can enter it now. If you forgot your 4-digit PIN, and you can answer your PIN challenge questions instead. By providing your PIN, you are confirming your identity, and you will be able to use your FSA access all U.S. Department of Education websites that require it. If you never had a PIN or FSA ID, then use it to sign and submit a new FAFSA immediately. But it will take 1 to 3 days for your information to be confirmed with the Social Security Administration. Until your information is verified, you options such as correct your FAFSA, submit a renewal FAFSA, sign your master promissory note. On the profile page, enter your mailing address. You can also choose to receive FSA ID.
sorry guys, escaped there a bit. But that's basically filling out the FSA ID. It's basically telling you that you need to put in your social security card and the security questions and make sure that when you're filling out, that information is correct. The most important thing to take from that video is that you want to make sure that it matches all the information of when you're submitting it to the university. I can't go through, it would create a login, I wouldn't be able. You can do that when you're and the both the parent and the student needs to fill this out. A lot of times what this brings up is, but I'm an independent student. So a big part of the FAFSA is dependency. So determining whether you are a dependent or an independent student. So the FAFSA is going to determine this. If a student fills out their own taxes, they claim themselves, no parent claims them, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are an independent student. There's going to be questions within it that we're going to go through, and you're going to see basically if the student cannot answer yes to at least one of those questions, then they're going to be classified as a dependent student, and both them and their parents would need to fill that out. So now we're going to jump into actually filling it out. So you've already filled out your FSA ID. You have your login, and this is specific to you. You can't have, the parent and the student cannot have the same one. We each have our own, each individual FSA ID and login created. We've waited the day or 3 days, and we've received our confirmation. Every year on October 1st is when it opens again. So right now, students, you're going to want to fill out the FAFSA. You can fill it out as soon as today. And again, you want to make sure that you go to FAFSA.gov. So we're basically going to go through the steps of doing that. We're going to go to the FAFSA webpage, and then we're going to click, if you're starting brand new, you want to say that you want to create a brand new FAFSA. If you've already completed one, then you want to log in and then do a renewal. So it's the second tab that we have here. And it's, again, FAFSA.gov. And again, it has the same header and Department of Education so that you know that you are on the correct website. It's not a scam website. Anyone that has never filled one out before, you want to do start a new FAFSA. And for returning, you want to do the login. The returning is a great feature. So every year after the second one is because all your demographic information is saved and you would only need to put in your financial information. And it's become so simple that once you the first initial filling out, every single time after that, within 10 minutes you can be done. So we're just going to go through, start a new FAFSA. You have two options. You can do where you enter your FSA ID, which if you have one, you can go ahead and start it now, or you can do start your student's information. So I'm just going to make up a mock student. Here it's very important where a lot of students will mess up, and basically if they put their social incorrectly, this would cause your school to not be able to locate your FAFSA. So you want to make sure that you double check everything and make sure that it is correct on both your application to your university and the FAFSA. And the reason being is that is how we identify you as you. So when you submit the FAFSA to your university, your name, birthday, and social all needs to match up. If not, then it's not going to go through, and it's going to prolong your process. And that initial step is where you want to do it. If you're creating the FSA ID, it would be creating the FSA ID where you want to make sure that that information is correct. I cannot stress like that more. And then once you're on, it's going to ask you to, right now there's two FAFSAs that are open. You can fill out a 2016-2017 FAFSA or a 2017-2018 FAFSA. For new students going into high school, I would recommend filling out both. Reason being, the 2016-2017 FAFSA, it could possibly be the FAFSA that is needed for the summer term for some universities. You would have to contact the universities that you are interested in attending to know if this would be the FAFSA that you need if you're starting summer or if you need 2017-2018. So just to be safe, I would recommend filling out both, and then that way you don't have to worry about missing or coming to the start of the semester and you have one FAFSA but not the other. So if you're a brand new student, I always recommend doing both the FAFSAs. When you come in, it's going to ask you if you want to continue, or, well, I already clicked it in, but we can do it. So it's going to say start new FAFSA. So if you just click, it's going to ask you to create a save key. This is different from your FSA login. This is any password, and the reason for this would be, say you started filling it out and you needed to save it and come back to it later, meaning you didn't submit it through, you did not finish it. This is so that you're able to do that. So you want to just make sure that it's something that you can remember. And again, it's just in case you need to go back to it. It's going to open up, and it basically has frequently asked questions that you can click. We're going to skip through that page. So it already pre-fills in the information that you gave it. It's going to ask demographic information on the student. It's very straightforward. Another great thing is it's interactive. So if you need help on what a question means, when you click over it on the right-hand side, there's a help section, and it tells you exactly what the question means and what it's asking and how to fill it in. So on the first, you're gonna pick male, female, permanent mailing address, your city, state, zip code, if you've lived there for the past 5 years, telephone number, email address. You want to make sure it's an email address that you're checking. When it is processed, you will be getting notified here. I would make it your priority email, make sure that it's going to that, because all notifications will come here. And this is prior to you being accepted into the university. So you want to make sure that you get all updates. If something is wrong with your application, it would go to that email address first. The very first question is marital status. You want to pick your marital status as of the date that you are filing. So how do you know that? When you click over it on the right-hand help side, you see that you must select the answer that describes your marital status as the day that you will sign your FAFSA. So if the day that you are filling it out, you are not married, that is how you fill it out. If you're going to be married tomorrow or when you're starting your application, that's not what you fill it out. You fill it out as the day that you filled out the FAFSA, not in the future or the past tense. It is as the day of. And then the last question, do you have a driver's license that you want to provide? And you can put yes or no. You can see that it's interactive. So if you miss something, it stops you right then and there, and it tells you what you left. So we have to pull it in. And then the ones that aren't required, they're not coming up as red. Again, you have to email blank. I'll go ahead and put my email. So really the only hiccups are if you miss something or don't put it up. Next we go into if you're eligible to receive federal aid. So they're basic questions. You just go straight through. First one, are you a U.S. citizen? And your options are, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. No, but I'm eligible non-citizen. No, but I'm not a citizen, or eligible non-citizen. So those are the three options that you can choose from. The next one, when are you going to be completing your high school? You can choose between high school diploma, GED certificate, homeschooled, or none of the above. And then it asks, since we're filling out the 2016-2017 FAFSA, what will your grade level be when you begin the 2016-2017 school year? It's basically, this question is asking, what are you starting as? So if you are never attended, you want to put first year. Attended college before, but you're still under the 30 credits. 30 credits is anywhere from 0 to 30 is a freshman. Anything above that, then you're looking at sophomore. 60 to 90. The 90 would be then the junior threshold, and then plus 90 to 120 is the senior fourth year. So that's basically what it is. A common mistake, if we have anyone coming from a community college, you would be a second year. You are not a graduate student. A graduate student is only for students pursuing a graduate degree or a professional degree. For high school students, typically it is the never attended college, or the second year, and this would be for dual degree, or if they're coming in with enough credits. Sometimes they do come in with 60 or more, but these are the two options for most high school students. And then it asks, what type of degree are you working towards? So you have first bachelor's degree, second bachelor's degree, your associate's, associate degree, certificate, diploma, teaching credential program, and then graduate, and then other undecided. If you're going to a tech school, you want to make sure you know that you want to verify the university that you're going to and what they're classified under, so that this is filled out correctly. It's not, if this is incorrect, it's okay, because it'll be adjusted when your university is sent to it. But if you want it to be exact, you would just contact the university that you're interested in attending, and they'll let you know what the program that you're pursuing would be classified as. So doing a first bachelor's degree, are you interested in being considered for work study? So work study is basically where the university offers you a job, but the funding comes from the federal government as opposed to the university. These jobs, they're limited, and they tend to come based on the funding from the university, but it does help students. I always recommend to put yes, even if you're not looking to work, because it is a good option. But it is considered under the self-help aid as with the loans, because you need to work. It's not just given to you. It does come as a normal paycheck. Next after this, you have your first bachelor's degree before you begin the school year. So if you're in high school, you shouldn't have a bachelor's degree, so it's already pre-filled out as no. And then it has some questions on, are you foster youth, or were you at any time in the foster care system? If you don't know, then again, it just asks you go to the right-hand side. It tells you can select yes if you were in the foster youth, or were at any time in the foster care system. Select no if you're not a foster youth. So it basically spells out the question for you. And then it also asks some information about your parents. The reason for this is that some universities have institutional funds based on first-generation students. So it seems like a random question, but a lot of the questions on here are to basically determine if you qualify for other grants that the university may be receiving. And to know if your school that you're attending qualify or participates in those programs, you would just contact their financial aid office. Here you want to put the name of your high school. And then it asks for the city and then the state. It may not let me because I know it has to be like a real high school. Okay, it went through. And now we are on into the school selection. You can send your FAFSA up to 10 universities. The universities won't know who else you send them to. So for example, students that are interested in attending at FIU, but FIU is not your school, your first number one school, you've applied to many other universities, you can list up to 10 of them. And if you don't list them though, it will not be sent to them. So if you are possibly considering a school, I would say list it so that you don't run into thinking that you did, and then once you start attending it and they don't have your FAFSA and you're starting from now you're behind. So if you think you're going to send it, I would say write it down. Some schools, they do have some institutional grants where they may say, we would have had to been your first choice on it. You have to check with your universities. We do not do that, as well as majorities do not. But the most important rule is just make sure you send it to all the schools that you are applying to. You can look them up by name, or you can just put their school code. So, for example, here at FIU, this is our school code. So search, and it already pulls it up. But you could have also looked it up by the state. And then you can put either the city or the name. And it should pull up the very same school. Once it pulls it up, though, you want to make sure that you click it and then move it over to add. This is what makes them actually send it over. So if it's just in the search and it hasn't been moved over, they're not actually sending it to that university. So make sure that you list all of the universities that you are applying to. The next step is the housing plan of where you're planning on living. Are you going to live on campus, with parents, or off campus? This doesn't affect what awards are going to be given to you. What it does affect, though, is your cost of attendance. The reason for this mattering, for anyone that is considering living on campus or going out of state, you may need to pull out, say, possibly like loans, or say you get a scholarship. You can only receive up to what your cost of attendance is. So if you put that you are living at home with parent, your budget, you're probably going to need more money, and you wouldn't be able to borrow or receive extra scholarships if the cost of attendance did not match that. You can always update this after you submit it. Say, you're going to live on campus and then you go off campus, or you put off campus and now you're living on campus. It can always be adjusted, but I think it is something, just look it up before when you're considering what's the most common option for if you're going to live at home or on campus or off campus. And it's per school. So if I had listed more schools, you put the housing plan per school. So say you're from Orlando and you want to go to Valencia or UCF, you'd probably be living with parent, whereas if you went to FIU or something farther where driving isn't an option, then it would be the other options, on campus or off campus. Now we get to the dependency status. This is where it's going to ask you those questions that are going to determine whether you need to put your parent information or not. So the first question, it's basically asking, are you 24 years of age? We're going to put no. The second question, it's going to ask, do you have any dependents? A dependent is anyone that you provide more than half of their support. So say you take care of your grandmother or grandparent that lives with you, or if you have a child, then the answer to that would be yes. Your number of family members in your household. This is your immediate household. So if you live at home and it's your parents and 2 other siblings, that would be your 2 parents, your 2 siblings, and yourself. So that number should be 5. For this scenario, we're going to say I'm an only child. I live with my parents, so I'm going to put 3. How many people in your household will be attending college for the year? If you or your siblings are both attending, you want to put 2. And also think of it for the full academic year. So if you start one term and then they don't start till the following semester, but within that year there will be 2, then you would want to put the 2. But for this case, we're going to put 1. And then previously, when I put my birthday in, I did put that I was over 24 based on the year. So it's already marking me as independent. If your birthday, when you put it in and fill everything in, if it's under 24 years of age, this is going to tell you whether you are classified as dependent or independent. A lot of times students, if there's issues where you can't get your information from your parents or you're not speaking to your parents, unfortunately that is not enough. The best advice is fill out your FAFSA as is, and then contact the financial aid office for your university. You can appeal and do dependency overrides, but every school is different with that process. But not speaking to your parents is not enough. You would need to provide proof of it being an unhealthy relationship or some other part, as well as just filing as independent on your taxes not determine enough. You would have to be able to answer these questions for it to determine if you need to put your parent information or not. Because this is asking me, they're already defining me as independent, it's already pre-filled out no, that do you want to put your parents' information? If you're a dependent student, that wouldn't be an option. But I'm just going to go ahead and say yes, so that it adds it and it takes me to that page. Okay, so then ask questions about your parents. As of today, what is the marital status of your legal parents? And then you can, these are your options. And again, you want to do it as the day of. And then it has all the questions listed with as what date, the parents' socials, maiden names. I'm sorry, just last names, not the maiden names. So I'm going to put never married, and then what parents' information will be provided. You choose whether it's your mother's or your father's. If your parents are divorced, you would want to put the parent that you are living with. So you do not need to put both parents' information. It would be the household that you live in. Just putting general information so that we can go through and you guys can see the process. The same thing, it's going to ask your mother's number of family members in the household. So again, we're talking about the household size. And then if you had questions, you can also choose the worksheet to see what determines household. For some families, a lot of times if there's multiple generations living in a household, if you have your grandparents in there, your parents could technically claim them as your household size as well. Previous put 3, so we're putting the same. Okay, so now we're getting into the income information. Everything prior was the demographic information. So that's the thing that you fill out once, and every time you go to renew, that's going to be pre-filled out, with the exception of the questions of asking of whether you are classified as independent or dependent. But that will never have to be filled out again if you keep renewing it. Once we get to the financial information, this would be what you need to renew and fill out every year again. So we're just going to go back. So we went through everything that you had to list in the beginning, that you had to at least make sure that you put your college, otherwise they will not receive it. And then it goes through personal information and the tax information, which is the part that we're at right now. And then if FAFSA determines you as a dependent student, you will have to report your parents' information as well. In the finance section though, we've been using it now for a few years. It is the IRS data retrieval tool. The amazing thing about this tool is it pre-fills out the FAFSA for you. There is no more need to pull out your taxes, match up the line of where it's asking, and fill it in. This basically takes you to the IRS website, and it pulls your IRS tax information for you, and it transfers it directly to your FAFSA. And basically, if you are eligible to use the tool, a button will come up that says link to IRS. And basically, in order to be eligible to use it, you just have to, if you are not eligible to use it, if you filed married but filed as married filing separately, or head of household. So if you or the student or the parent has a different filing status from their actual marital status, that will void them. So they would have to fill it in manually. Or if you filed a amended tax return. So if you make corrections on your taxes, you would also again have to fill it in manually, and anyone that filled out foreign tax transcripts, as well as Puerto Rico. So how do you know? Basically, it's going to ask you those questions. It's going to ask you, did you file your taxes already? And you're going to put already completed, will file, not going to file. We're going to say already completed. Was your mother's tax filing status according to her tax return? Previously, I put single. So if I put single here, it's going to continue on. If it did not match the marital status here, it would already give me a if I put married previously and then here put head of household or separately, then it would just say that you're not eligible for it. And then it's basically asking, did you make amendments? So I put no. And did you file foreign taxes? Put no again. And then if you have filed it within the last 3 weeks. And basically the reason for that would be is because it doesn't, it wouldn't have been filed yet. And it's going to have your FSA information when you have it, and then you're just going to click link to IRS, and it's going to take you there. Basically, when you get to the IRS website, it's going to ask you for your name, social, and address that you filled out your taxes with, and if it matches up, it'll then import it back to there and fill it in. I can't do that part just because of it'll show personal information, but it is very simple, as much as a click of a button, and it imports it and fills it out for you to then jump to the last step of signing and completing it. If you answer yes to one of the questions and you're not able to do it, it's going to tell you why. That you're not able to, at the moment, why you're not able to do it. So for this instance, if I recently filed, it's telling me that I could wait and then do it afterwards. And then if you hit next, it's going to take you to the information. Whereas if you linked it, all of this would already be pre-filled out. Now, for the sake that, say you cannot link it, we'll go through some of the questions. And first thing it asks, well, what did you file? And then it goes through line by line, and it even tells you where on your tax forms you would find it. So on a 1040 form, it'd be line 37. And you go one by one, filling in all of the numbers. Again, if you use the IRS data retrieval tool, this will all be pre-filled out for you. Once you do your parents, it's going to then do the students. So I put not going to file. If you did file, you can go ahead and put file, and then it just asks basic questions of how much did you earn from working, And then it also asks, as of today, are you a dislocated worker? And then it explains what it is. And then you can put yes, no, or even don't know. And then it asks if you want to skip questions on your income and assets. I'm going to put yes. Once there, you're on the final sign and submit page. The most important part of here is to hit agree, but also put in your FSA ID and click sign. If you submit it before hitting it sign, it's going to be rejected, meaning the school is going to receive it, but they're not going to be able to process your FAFSA, which means you're not going to get your awards. You're not going to see what has been offered to you from the university. So once you get to this final page, if you are a dependent student, both the student and the parent must log in with their FSA ID, and basically logging in and hitting the sign button is electronically signing your application. And then you want to hit the submit my FAFSA now. Once you do that, it's basically going to take about a week, and then your university is going to receive it. The moment that you fill it out, it takes about 24 hours. FAFSA is going to send you an email saying that they've already processed it, and then by the end of that week, you should get contacted by your university saying that they received them. So this side basically just talks about why and just stresses the importance of using the IRS data retrieval tool. As you saw, it was a lot of questions, and it takes away the time of having to look through your taxes and fill them out for you. If both you and your parents file taxes, you would have to do that twice. So you can either manually fill them in or link them, as well as it can be a combination of where the student can link them, but the parent has to fill out the information. And basically the steps, again, click the link to IRS button. It's going to take you to the IRS website, and then you put your information. It's going to say, do you want to transfer it in? Click yes, transfer my tax information into the FAFSA, and then you'll be able to review all of the numbers in. If you do this, for example, at FIU, students that submit it to us, we don't need to verify, meaning we don't have to ask for more information. As soon as we get it, we can give you your award letter. So for example, right now, students that applied in October, by December, they will know what financial aid they are receiving from FIU. So you're able to make a decision a lot sooner, whereas students that were not able to use the IRS data retrieval or did not, they would have to then submit additional documents, which they could prolong it up to 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how on top of it they are. So going over the main points, you want to submit it now. It's open right now. You want to make sure that you first go set up your FSA ID, double check your information. Cannot stress that your birthday is correct, your name is correct, and your social is correct. If it is not, that will put a hold on everything. And to make sure that you sign your FAFSA. Both you and your parent click the sign button by filling in the FSA ID. Once you submit it, you'll be notified within a week if anything else is needed. If there was any errors, or if your school that you submitted it to needs further documents, they will contact you and let you know that they need it. But I would say if you haven't heard back within a week after submitting your FAFSAs to the universities, go ahead and reach out to their financial aid pages. They should have phone chats. A lot of universities have, you can call them, you can speak on chat with them, as well as an email. Once your school has received the FAFSA and everything that they requested, they will then give you your award letter where you see all the grants, loans, and scholarships that were offered to you. Basically, we also have some documents to help, additional resources for you guys to download. But now if there's any time, we can do any questions.
Thank you, Michelle, so much for such a wonderful overview. I think people should just be ready to hit submit now after the steps you've covered. We do have some questions, Michelle, and so if you don't mind, we'll walk through them And mostly, so the first one is related to students and parents. So to make sure both student and parent have to fill out the FAFSA form.
Yes, but it is the same FAFSA. For if say both the parent and the student are attending, they would each need their own individual application. Um, Obviously, for the parent, they wouldn't need their student to sign it. But for a student that is going to school and classified as dependent, they both complete the same FAFSA. So they can fill it out together. The thing that they need two separate things of would be two separate FSA IDs that they need to create.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. And I think that actually addresses the other question we have related to parents who are completing the FAFSA for student is if they have more than one student. For parents, they already have a FAFSA ID. So do they have to have multiple IDs if they have more than one student? And do they fill out multiple FAFSA forms if they have more than one student?
That is a great question. So the reason I couldn't go through doing the FSA ID is because I already have one. You only need one FSA ID. That is your signature as yourself. So you need one FSA ID per parent, and then it would be a separate FAFSA per each student.
Okay, thank you. I'm learning a lot about the form. Michelle, the next couple of questions are related to the form itself. So one of them is about the status. Can you explain the difference between eligible and non-eligible citizen and any other statuses listed there that you think it's important to know?
Yes. So basically, we can go back here. One of the pages that I had, which is a very good resource within the student aid website, so federal student aid. One of them is for anyone that is a non-eligible citizen. It basically lists what other resources that they had. An eligible student would have to be someone that has a certain visa type classified within it. They would have a social. If they do not have a social, that's kind of a solid indication that they do not qualify for the federal financial aid. But there are other forms of financial aid that they could be receiving. Um, Basically, what I tell every student, because a lot of times sometimes they don't understand their classification, instead of just putting up the whole list of all of them, I say apply. When you apply, your university will let you know what they need for you to submit in order for you to qualify for financial aid. And if you don't have those documents, then that would basically mean that you do not qualify for the financial aid.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Kind of in that same eligibility wave, Michelle, somebody wanted to know if a sibling in graduate school gets considered at all. And I'm guessing that has to do with considered under parents, or maybe you understand the question better.
It's probably in consideration for household size. When the graduate student is filling out their FAFSA, they could put independent student and they claim themselves and one family member, whereas in reverse, say their sibling, if their parents support them, they can list them in the family household size. So the best example, you have the parents, the younger sibling who's doing the undergraduate, and then the graduate student. So you can put 4 people in your household size um, if the parents do still support them, even though the graduate student is filling out their own separate FAFSA, and on that FAFSA they are claiming themselves because they're claimed as independent. So yeah, they can include them. The younger student can claim that older sibling, even though the older sibling on their FAFSA is just a household of 1.
Okay, that's very good information to know. Certainly makes a difference at the end as well. So, Michelle, the other couple of questions are in relation to enrollment, and it may be more on the advising side. So, let us know if you think the student should connect with an advisor. But can you tell us how dual enrollment courses fit in this process. Somebody wanted to know if they are taking dual enrollment courses and they are actually offered at the high school campus for this particular student, do they count towards academic progress, and how does that all play in with financial aid or particularly the FAFSA?
It's a really good question. In terms of the academic progress, we count them as the transfer credits. So they come in, they would help the same as a student that comes in with say a student transferring in from a community college in with credits. We count the dual enrollments the same as that. Um, where they wouldn't is with their if a lot of times, sometimes students, they're required to take a certain number of credits their first year. Those credits that are being transferred in would not count as that. Those credits start counting as when you start the university and what you take there at the university. They do transfer in terms of determining their grade level, and then they also do in terms of uh, one of the requirements to keep being eligible to receive financial aid is students need to maintain a specific passing rate. For example, at FIU, our students must maintain a passing rate of 67%. So they must continuously, cumulatively as well, always be passing 67% of their classes. So it's simple, classes passed divided by classes attempted. Those dual enrollment courses are counted as the overall attempted courses, so it does help them in that sense. But say if a student needs to complete 30 credits at the end of their first year and they came in with 12 credits, that doesn't mean that they need to complete that many less. They still need to do the 30 within that university.
Okay, that helps a lot. Definitely important to keep good academic standing, to keep your financial aid.
hmm
Michelle, the next question is a two-part question. So the first part is, can you fill out the FAFSA for students going to a community college? And then can you fill out the form if a student is not sure of what college they want to go to?
Is, is it a parent filling it out for another student, or because I guess, or is it like a counselor?
I am assuming it's the student asking the question. Michelle, did we lose you?
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes, I am assuming it's a student asking the question.
Okay, sorry about that. So the FAFSA, you can fill out the FAFSA for community college, technical school, uh, state university. You can fill it out even for for-profit and not-for-profit. You can fill out the FAFSA, as well as when you go in, as long as you find the school and you can put the school code, it's going to send it to that university. So you can send it. You can fill out the FAFSA for a community college. What was the second part?
Thank you. Yeah, the second part of the question is, can you fill out the FAFSA form if you're not sure about the college or on the college that you want to attend?
Yes, so you can list up to 10 universities, as well as say you submitted it and you only put two universities and you decide that you want to apply to another university, you can go in, make a correction, and add five more schools into that. You can do on the electronic one, you can add up to 10 schools. If you want to add more, you would need to then submit a physical paper copy.
Okay, and I am going to go back and just focus on the parent side, Michelle. If it's parents filling out the form, if the parents are divorced, do both parents have to fill out the FAFSA form? How does that process work?
No, if they're divorced, it would just be one parent. The parent that is filling it out is the one that needs to fill out uh, to get their own FSA ID, and typically it'd be the parent that is claiming the student. Um, but sometimes I know with a lot of our students, at least they switch up the years of which parent does what, but only one of them needs to fill it out, and it's per their discretion. They can choose which parent is going to fill it out, and we do it based on just one parent's income if they are divorced. Just keep in mind it is on the household. So if the parent that is filling it out is married, it would be include their new spouse as well.
That makes sense. Okay, good information to know. Also, if a parent is completing the form, will they need to update at any point with the 2016 taxes this year or the 2016 tax information this year?
That's a great question. I didn't go over that. So, this is the first year that you can fill out the new FAFSA starting October 1st. So the 2016, 2017 FAFSA and the 2017 and 2018 FAFSA actually both use your 2015 taxes. The reason of this is moving forward, you will always use the previous year's taxes so that you will have your taxes completed by then, typically, hopefully, because they're going to be due that many months prior. So, for example, the two FAFSAs that are available right now, they both use the 2015 tax information. You do not need to put the 2016 when you fill those out. The 2016 taxes will be used next October when you're filling out the 2018 and 2019 FAFSA for the following academic year.
Wow, I cannot think of 2019 already, but we do have to think about it when we're thinking about financial aid. Michelle, I'm going to go back quickly to the question related to listing schools on the FAFSA if you're not sure. Can you fill out the FAFSA form without listing any schools at all?
If you don't list any schools, it will not be sent to anyone. So there's nothing to be processed. So it would save it. You would be able to save it, but not submit it because there's nothing for it to go to. So you can definitely fill it out, and then once you decide the schools that you want to send it to, you would just need to sign back in, add the schools, and then sign and submit it. But if you don't list schools, you're basically filling it out, but you're saving it. You're not actually submitting it to anywhere. It's just kind of held and not processed.
Okay, so definitely makes it easier to get it started while you're still deciding which school to go to. Very cool, Michelle. Thank you so much. I have one more comment to make. If you know anything about College Goal Sunday as another resource that parents and students can go to, I know it's a national event. Do you know much about College Goal Sunday that you can tell us about?
We do College Goal Sunday a lot of times here at FIU. It's a great event where you can go, at least when we have it here at FIU, you can go, you meet our financial aid office, they answer any questions that you have, and we also do set up some computers where you can go and if you need assistance filling it out, we would moderate and help and assist with doing that. So it would be sort of like this, but a hands-on experience with actually going through it if you needed more assistance or if you had questions. And it can be for any university. It doesn't have to be for the school that is hosting it.
Absolutely. It's definitely a good resource. So I would encourage students here and parents to connect with your local high school or college or university. I know this is actually around the time when they offer College Goal Sundays. So check it out if you still have any questions about the FAFSA. The last question I wanted to ask you, Michelle, if you have a second for one more.
Mhm.
A widowed parent filling out the FAFSA 2015 taxes included income for both parents. Can they wait to fill out the FAFSA in January for 2016 taxes if the
Uh,
income is less now?
that is a good question. So basically, they would fill it out as is because it would still always include the 2015 taxes. What they would need to do, though, is contact the university that they're attending to appeal the information on the FAFSA. The reason for this being that the information that is on it does not correctly represent their current financial status. So anytime the taxes differ greatly from what it is their current status, they can do an appeal here at FIU as well as I think at and Miami-Dade. It's called a professional judgment. And basically it can be for many reasons like loss of employment, a lowered pay. if the case that one of the family members does die. So those different things that would affect the income, but it doesn't say so on the taxes. They would just need to fill out those paperworks, and then we would reevaluate the FAFSA based on their current status so that it would be represented. And I recommend to fill it out, with the wrong information. Do the professional judgment instead of waiting, because even on January, the 2015 is still what you need to use, as well as you don't want to lose all that time where you could have completed and have everything ready already.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I have learned a lot about financial aid. We really appreciate the detailed session on how to complete the FAFSA. And really, for the attendees, once you've completed this step, you're really on a successful way to securing and completing the financial aid process. So, Michelle, we appreciate you making it so easy. You also provided some very helpful handouts. So if you look under the handout section, you will be able to download those. This part concludes our 4 o'clock session for FAFSA information. You will receive an email as an attendee today with a link to our survey. So we ask you that you take a few seconds to complete the survey so we can continue to improve and find ways to continue to assist you. If you need additional information, you can email us at collegenight@flvc.org. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at FLShines. The next session we have tonight begins at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and that session will cover all you need to know to get your degree with Complete Florida. So we thank you, Michelle, and thank you, attendees, for attending today.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.